What's up, everybody? How is everybody doing? I am Rockin Robbie Billups. Welcome to Pop Culture Philosophers, and tonight it's time for a special edition of Rockin Robbie Live because we have a very cool guest. In fact, she is currently crowdfunding an exclusive Vampirella cover. When it comes to the world of cosplay, she is a legend. Ladies, gentlemen, please give a mighty hearty station for AniMia Cosplay. What's up, Mia? How are you doing?
Hi, everyone. How's it going?
It is going fantastic. Thank you for being here tonight.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so, okay, let's get right into the nitty-gritty here. You've got this exclusive reprint of Vampirella Magazine 67, right?
Mm-hmm.
Coming up. It's on Indiegogo. There's a link in the description below. Definitely check it out because it's already funded. You're guaranteed that it's going to be happening. You don't want to miss out, and it ends in a few days. So, Mia, why don't you tell us a little bit about this project and what exactly it is?
So I've done a couple different covers with Dynamite in the past, including a Vampirella one. But they asked me if I wanted to do something really special with Vampirella because I really love the character. I've always been kind of a little vampire fanatic, except for like the sparkly ones. That was not my cup of tea.
Good distinction.
But they approached me with the idea of doing a reprint cover for Vampirella number 67, which was the first time they had a cosplayer on the cover, which was Barbara Lee, and she was actually supposed to play Vampirella in the movie that they were going to, the live action movie they were going to do. But that ended up not happening, so she ended up on the cover, which I actually have a copy of, because of course the minute they asked me to do it, I was like, I have to get a copy of it. So yeah, it's a great, it's really a magazine more than a comic book, I think, because you get multiple stories in here. So it's not just one comic. It's 64 pages.
Yeah.
Which is really cool. And in the reprint, they're actually going to include like a little history of Vampirella cosplay, which is kind of cool.
Oh, neat.
So yeah, it's like a little homage to not only Vampirella as the character, but also to people who have cosplayed as her and who also love her. So it's a really, really cool project. The insides are gorgeous. Like I can show you some, it's black and white, but then there's also some color images. As I was telling you earlier off camera, I have to be careful which pages I show you because there is nudity. So I just want to make sure I don't end up accidentally showing anything that gets you in trouble.
But yeah, we don't want to get in trouble.
Yeah, but there are color pages as well, and it's really beautifully done. It's got that like classic Vampirella comic look to it. So really excited. I'm hoping that people pick this up, and I hope that they really enjoy it. So yeah, I'm really excited about it.
So, like I said, there's a link in the description below, and it's already well over its funding goal. And it says on the website that there's 3 days left, and you have the choice of being able to get like a trade dress copy of it, or a black and white one, or one that's like, I guess we call them virgin covers without the trade dress, right?
Mm-hmm. I really love, like, they called it the noir cover, and it's like the black and white with like hints of red. Like really looks like that old 70s style like mystery comic movie or books,
Yeah. I didn't realize it had hints of red. That's really cool, actually.
Yeah.
Let me actually share the screen here and let people see exactly what we're talking about. I am
there's a whole bunch of different pledge options on there.
Yeah, there's a bunch. So there's the cover right there. You'll see it. I believe you can see it. Yes, you can see it. So it's already funded. There's some of her other cosplay. You've done a lot of characters, and you've done, you said you've done Vampirella with them before. There's some bits from the inside.
I did a cover a couple years ago with them, but I mean, I've been cosplaying since 2008, so I'm kind of like aging myself here. So I've been cosplaying for a long time, but this is my first time doing something, I guess, like so memorable. So like it's an honor. Barbara Lee is an amazingly talented actress and model from the 60s and 70s and 80s, and to be able to kind of follow in her footsteps is really cool.
Yeah. So you've been able to follow in her footsteps and Betty Page's footsteps and all these amazing
Yeah.
characters. What got you into cosplay? Have you? I'm assuming that you've always just been into the like nerd culture in this world, right?
Oh yeah, my dad was a huge geek. So, I grew up like I think one of my earliest memories is I used to wear a Knight Rider, like it was a like one of those tank tops, and I would
Yeah.
wear that to bed when I was like 2 years old. So I was very like raised on nerd culture. And then I went to my first convention, which I don't know why it took me so long to realize conventions existed. Um, and I went to my first one. My friend was like, "Oh, we love anime. We need to go to an anime convention sometime." And I was like, "Wait, there's conventions? Like
What
people
are
get
these?
together and there's other people." And so we went to one, and it was Anime Matsuri in Houston. So huge anime con. And I saw cosplayers for the first time, and I was like, "Oh my god, this is so cool. Like everyone gets to dress up and be all the characters that I love, and it's like Halloween the whole weekend." And yeah, after that I was just hooked, and I had no experience in making costumes, and over the years I'm still learning. And I think that's kind of the beauty of it, is like stuff's always evolving with cosplay.
Yeah.
Um,
I think
the
that's something that a lot of
materials.
people don't realize too, is that most cosplayers make their own costumes, right?
Mm-hmm. A lot of us do. I mean, and especially back in like the first days of cosplay, I'd say like 10 years ago, there were not a lot of places to buy cosplays online. Like you could, they were very kind of like iffy
Yeah.
websites,
You could get that Hugh
and
Jackman Party City costume, right?
yeah, you could do that, or you could go on the kind of risky Chinese website where you're not sure, like, if it's actually going to get to you or not.
Mm.
And so that was the only options we had back then. And now, like, there's so many websites where you can buy pre-made stuff if you don't want to make it, don't have the time or the money, because it is an expensive hobby as well. But then also for people that make their cosplays, there's so many more materials, like even just like thermoplastics, which is what a lot of armor is made out of, the like
Okay.
hardened kind of stuff. It's basically it's a plastic that you can melt to make it more pliable, and then when it cools down, it hardens back up. A lot of armor is made with that. We had like a version of that when I first started, and it had like this mesh grid in the back, so you couldn't do any like circular shapes. You could only do things that were kind of like straight lines.
Yeah.
And yeah, now we have like a million different types of Warbler and thermoplastics, and it's like, oh, you don't want to have to bevel your own foam? Here, we have ready beveled edges that you could just glue on. Like what? I'm so jealous of what these kids have now. I'm like, what the heck? I wish I had that when I started. Like
Back in my day.
I know, I feel like that old lady of cosplay where I'm like, back in my day, we didn't have those easy ways. We did this with our blood and sweat. Yeah, no, but basically, but it's cool. It's cool that so many people are embracing it. So many companies are embracing it. Like the idea that cosplayers would be on the covers of, comic books is really cool. Like that's awesome.
Yeah, I think that's super freaking cool. And Dynamite does a lot of the cosplay covers. Of course, you've been on some of them, and other cosplayers as well, and they turned out pretty well. So at my shop, they sell pretty well. People, they look for them and things like that, and people are big fans. You wind up garnering these giant social media followings. You got like over 200K on Instagram. Like that, I can't even fathom that number, Mia. That's absolutely crazy. How has that rise? How has it changed you? Has it affected you? Is it bolstered your confidence? Has it made you like? Has it made you just like? How has it changed your life, yo?
I mean, it kind of happened really quickly in the beginning, which was kind of like shocking because I didn't expect like the social media thing. I was just cosplaying for fun, and my friend was like, "Make a cosplay page," and I was like, "Okay." And then suddenly it kind of blew up, and it's been great because it's allowed me to have a ton of opportunities. Because I've been able to guest at over like 150 conventions across the world.
Yeah.
And getting to go to places that I would never have gotten to go to ever. And it's also given me an opportunity to teach others as well, and to kind of like, I don't know, be a role model or a teacher or inspire other people, which has been great. But as far as the confidence thing, yes, definitely. I was a geeky, overweight child.
Hey, same.
I came out of high school with like very little confidence, and cosplay is one of those things that I always tell people, even if you're really shy, to just kind of get out there, because it does do something for you. Even if you're too shy to go out there as yourself as a character, doing a character that wears a mask, something where you have that like extra hidden layer, really kind of helps get you out there.
Yeah.
And you just I don't know, it for me it was Supergirl. And I always tell this story because my Supergirl cosplay, it's a little skirt and a little crop top, and and it's, for me, I was like, oh God, I'm gonna walk around a con in this. But it was like the more I wore it and I got used to it, and I was like, you know what, I am Supergirl. Like, you just gotta become that person. And I got more confident wearing it. And the idea that like now I can host a panel, an entire panel room full of people, or MC a costume contest with an entire room full of, thousands of people. It's kind of crazy that I can do that now. And it's funny. I still get stage fright and nerves about other things, but when it comes to like cosplay stuff, I could go out there and deadpan and I'm fine.
Nice.
But
yeah, it's a talent you learn. It's a skill you hone.
It
Absolutely.
really is.
All right, so like, I love that you mentioned that when you were wearing the Supergirl stuff, at first maybe you were a little nervous about doing it, but then the more you wore it, the more you're like, I am Supergirl. And it's kind of like taking on the idea of a thought form. Like if you want to be more heroic, maybe you can envision yourself every day for a little bit. Just think of yourself as Superman or Supergirl or Batman or Batwoman or whatever it is, right? And it can actually have an effect. And so when you actually dress like it, there's a reason why people back in the Dark Ages would dress up like Egyptian gods and like do crazy like rituals and stuff, because it kind of helps you like access like this level that's inside of all of us. I believe that it's all just in us, but it's just accessing it. And sometimes you dress the part to be the part. You fake it till you make it, almost, in a way, right?
Exactly. You just gotta fake it till you make it. And cosplay is a great way to do that. I mean, it almost kind of takes on that level of almost getting into like acting, right?
Yeah.
Because you're not only putting on the costume, but you are now becoming the character. And then you realize that you kind of get why some actors get way too into their characters sometimes.
Yeah.
You always hear those stories about those actors on set where it's like, oh, they went a little crazy. It's like, whoa, they became the character. And it's something about putting on that costume.
Heck yeah. We got a question from James Donahoe in the chat. He wants to know, Mia, who's your favorite superhero?
That's a hard one. It's always changing, because I read so many comics that I just get kind of hooked into the new, thing. But I've always had a love for Superman. That's another one that my dad kind of like instilled in me. So I grew up on the old Christopher Reeve movies.
Nice.
And like the Superman movies. I think it was like the third one traumatized me my entire life.
With the chick that becomes the robot or whatever?
The robot! Yes, right. The robot woman!
I was just talking about that the other day.
When it clinks onto her and she walks out. Oh, I hated her.
It's freaking me out. It's freaking me out right now. It really is. It's wigging me out. I'm just like, that's terrified me. I could have watched anything when I was a kid. Hellraiser, Freddy, Michael Myers, Jason, throw it at me, right? The grosser, the better. But that scene and then Thriller, for some reason, just I couldn't handle it.
It has that same vibe, actually. Now that I think about it, like that lady with the things on had that same like Michael Jackson kind of like Thriller vibe.
Oh, there you go. That's your next cosplay you should work on. You should be the creepy woman from the end of Superman 3.
Oh, God. Yeah, that was horrifying. But yeah, I've always loved Superman. I mean, my dad was the one that told me about Smallville. I remember he was like, so have you seen this show Smallville? And I'm like, what? Then he got me super into Smallville and we watched together. So yeah.
Nice. All right, TM Nerdy wants to know, what's your favorite character to cosplay? as?
Oh, okay. So mine has got to be Mantis from Guardians of the Galaxy. And it's because I get a lot of people that think that I'm actually the actress. And it can be kind of funny sometimes and kind of sad. Like it's really sweet when you get like little kids and they like think, you know, and that's what happens a lot. But I get some people that will, especially when they come up to the booth and they see my picture of, you know, myself cosplaying as her, and they're like, "Are you her?" And I'm like, I'm Mantis. And I've had it a couple times where, like, you know, I'll be talking to someone, and then they're suddenly wanting to buy that print, and then I'm starting to get this inkling, and I'm like, okay, you know, I'm not the actress, right? I'm just a cosplay, and then they're like, oh, okay, cool, thanks, and I'm like, no, wait, come back, buy my print.
You just got to start rolling with it. Yeah, I am her. And I decided to show up in costume, full on makeup. I sat in the, you know, let's do it. Because that's, you know, wouldn't that be weird? Like, could you imagine if, like, maybe somebody's tried to do this? I think maybe Ryan Reynolds did this, but cosplaying as the character you are that you act as, but nobody knowing or believing it's you. Wouldn't that be crazy?
Yeah, that was one of the things I always wondered. I was like, you gotta wonder, like, would these people think that the person would actually be cosplaying as their, or dressed as their character? Like, are you expecting to see, you know, Gillian as what's her name from Guardians of the Nebula? Like, yeah. Could you imagine her having to get ready in the morning before a con every morning? Like, it's hard enough for me to get into cosplay thinking like Karen getting into full on Nebula every morning.
Right? And then someone's got to follow her around with like some kind of sound editing software to do the voice right or something. Like, it'd be a bit of a weird stretch, right? So you mentioned that you were really into Vampirella because you like vampire movies, not the sparkly variety, which was a great distinction because we always got to make that distinction.
Yeah.
This is the week that we start Horror Fest here at PCP. So the very appropriate question would be, what are some of your favorite vampire movies?
Ooh, oh God, that's hard. I think one that really hit me, and it's not like a terrifying one, is Let the Right One In. I think that whole idea of being stuck as a child and like trying to make connections with people, that was kind of like one of those ones that gets to you a little bit. As far as comedy, What We Do in the Shadows is one of it's my favorite. I'm so excited for the new season to come back. Super excited. And then, I mean, I've always been an Interview with the Vampire fan. I have to say it. It's always been my favorite. But yeah, those would be my favorites. Nice. But I'm a huge horror fan. Love horror. Love found footage horror films, which I've actually started diving into some like really obscure ones lately because I've seen all of them.
Yeah, there's only so many Paranormal Activities you can make it through until you're like, I gotta find something else. Like, what else? I know there's Record, and there's
I have a list.
Blair Witch, of course.
I asked people to give me a list of like super obscure ones because I'm like, if it's pretty known, I've seen it already. So there was one that I saw that was all right. It was called Leaving DC.
Okay, I'm gonna write that down.
It was all right. A little weak on the ending, but the concept and how they went about it up until the end was really good.
Okay.
Let's see. I'm trying to think. I'll have to get you a list. I'm on the spot right now.
Yeah, send me a list.
Well, I'm on the spot. Well, I have like this whole list right here of ones to check out. Like Lake Mungo and Found Footage 3D. Ooh, Found Footage 3D actually sounded pretty good.
Found Footage 3D.
3D.
I like it. Have you ever seen Digging Up the Marrow by Adam Green?
No, I haven't.
That's an interesting one. It's the Adam Green's the guy that did the Hatchet films. And the premise is that he's obsessed with the idea that there's a real monster in his hometown. So he wants to go out and do this like found footage thing. And it's really good. Like, it's funny and it's actually kind of scary. It's got Ray Wise in it, the guy from Twin Peaks. So that's a really cool one. Digging Up the Marrow. You should add that one to the list. Last time I checked, it was on Amazon Prime, but maybe it's not there anymore. You know how that goes. They dip dive over there so quickly. So, but that's a good one. He also, on his show Holliston, one of my favorite episodes of that show is a found footage thing. It's the same type idea. Like they want to go and fake a found footage. In the Adam Green movie, Digging Up the Marrow, though, the idea is that he believes it's real. He starts getting like tweaked into it. Like he finds this dude who tells the story. He finds these holes. It's wild. It's weird. I'd be interested to know what you think about that one.
Yeah. So. I'm always looking for new horror movies.
Yes, me too. Like I love
and they never
horror
come
movies.
out fast enough. Like I'm always like checking for like the new releases. Like what's the next one? And so I just watched the new Wrong Turn the other night, which is actually not bad.
I heard it was decent. It was completely different, I heard, but pretty decent, pretty solid.
It's like, it's kind of like the original mixed a little bit with like a really messed up version of The Village.
Okay.
M. Night Shyamalan's The Village. So
yeah, The Village. That was when I started being like, I don't know if I like this guy's movies. I don't know.
Because that's when it started getting gimmicky. That's when you started expecting. And then by the time The Happening happened, we were all over it. It was like, what is it?
The crappening.
The trees.
I have so many thoughts about that. One day we do a movie night every Friday night here and we do a review. And I just know that one day I'm going to be like thinking it's a great idea to do The Happening. And I'm like, I don't know why, but that movie's something else. I get the premise. There's something that the plants release and it takes away the part of your brain that like prevents you from causing harm, right? Like walking into like an ongoing traffic or something, right? But in this movie, they like this dude like sets up his lawnmower to run that goes and lays out in front of it. That's a bit much. That's like really getting in there.
Well,
and
I guess maybe there's just some creative people out there. You get like the boring people and they just like off themselves easy, but then you get the creative guys.
I like that. That's a good spin on it, actually. It's like this person's actually rather creative. Had he been led to
an artist?
Yeah, had he been led to lead his life, he could have. Who knows? He could have changed the world through art. You never know, right? I just watched the new Candyman movie and thought that was actually pretty solid.
Oh, yes, I've been wanting to see that.
Yeah, so Candyman was cool because I've watched a bunch of not so good horror movies this year at the theater. Spiral. I didn't like Conjuring 3, but I really did like Quiet Place 2. So, but that's
Quiet Place 2 was good.
Yeah, it was. I liked it.
Escape Room 2 was good.
I saw the trailer for that. I was like, oh, this movie looks interesting. And then I was like, this is a part 2? They did one of these. So is the first one good?
The first one's good. Actually, I recommend Escape Room. There's a couple of movies that were kind of around that time that had that similar feel to them, kind of like Belko Experiment kind of thing. So if you liked Belko, like that's basically what I did. My friend was like, I want to watch a horror movie. So I was like, all right, Belko. And then we did Escape Room. So
okay. So definitely worth checking out. I love it. I think that's fantastic. So you also do some hosting gigs over at PreviewsWorld for Diamond Comics, where you run through like what's coming out and things like that, right? What's your, like some of your favorite comics currently being put out right now?
Gosh, I am very much more like, I'm not a superhero comic kind of person, so I'm very much like Dark Horse, Boom, Image.
The really good ones, right?
Yeah. And Dynamite and like Dynamite's been doing some amazing stuff. They've got a new series coming out with Vampirella that I can't say anything about, but I know that she's getting married in an upcoming issue, which I'm very excited about.
I have heard that rumor.
So there's some things going on over there. I've been really into Umbrella Academy. And then they just recently had their spinoff for Klaus's character. I'm trying to remember what it was called.
You Look Like Death.
Yes, You Look Like Death.
Yeah.
And so they had that one come out. Deadly Class is finishing up. That's another one I really like. Yeah. And then I'm always been a Buffy fan. Hey, vampires. So
nice.
Now that's been switched over from Dark Horse to Boom, and they're like restarting and revamping the whole thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Apparently they're
so
doing a Buffyverse type thing is what I've heard, where like they cross over with the TV show characters, and now they're doing like everybody's doing like their Spider-Verse story now, the Buffyverse, and we got the Spawn verse, and hell, we got the Red Sonja verse, and we're about to get the Vampirella verse too. So that's cool.
Everyone's doing verses. It's I mean, it's so much fun. Like Flashpoint was great. Like Flashpoint Batman is like one of my favorite storylines ever. So yeah, I love like what if kind of things.
Yeah, me too. One of my favorite Dynamite ones right now is Elvira meets Vincent Price. That book had so much heart to it, and it was so fun. So yeah, that one's really freaking cool. And so it made me want to go and get all the other ones. And then I was reading my homie Jim Mint here on YouTube did an exclusive for Betty Page Curse of the Banshee #1. So I was like, well, let me check out this Betty Page book. And I wasn't really expecting much. And it gave me so many hardcore, like Abbott and Costello type vibes of just like fun monster hunting, comedic, but adventurous. Like I loved it. I thought that was fantastic. So always get excited when a new launch from Dynamite comes. In fact, this week we get a new Red Sonja #1 from Mirka Andolfo. So that's going to be pretty cool. Have you ever done a Red Sonja cosplay for them?
I haven't done a Red Sonja. It's one that I am working on, so maybe we'll see that in the future. But yeah, that Betty Page one is amazing. I picked it up because actually I'm on the cover of issues 1 and 3 of that series. And yeah, I love it. It's fun. It's, you know, that whole paranormal kind of like, you know, hunting things. I love it.
Yeah, I love that too. Speaking of paranormal and hunting things, I always ask everybody when they come onto the channel for the first time this question: have you ever seen a UFO or an alien or anything like that? And I'm being serious, Mia. I'm not even joking. Like, I'm for real. Have you ever seen anything?
Well, I mean, so I'm not aliens, but I lived in a haunted house when I was in college. My dad's house was haunted. And I have seen, when I was living in Tomball, I did see weird lights that were moving in directions and speeds that were not making any sense way off in the distance. And then I love this show called Paranormal Caught on Camera. And I think it was like season 2, there was an episode where they showed Tomball, Texas, and someone had captured the exact same lights I saw. And I was like, that's what I saw like 8 years ago. And there it is. And now I feel vindicated. And I still don't know what it is, but someone actually caught it on camera. So I was very happy.
That's super cool. Because I've seen, nothing super dramatic, but I've seen a strange light in the sky. Me and my homie saw it, and I've talked about it. It was basically a light that just kind of went across and it disappeared, and then it came back in a different spot. Then it disappeared again. It just was acting really weird, and it wasn't. I mean, I pulled out my phone, all my apps. It's like, it's not a space station, it's not a plane. It was as bright as Jupiter in the sky, right? And nobody believes me. Nobody believes me. They're like, what were you drinking? I was like, yeah, I had a couple beers. That has nothing to do with it, man. Like, you just don't start hallucinating when you've had a couple of beers. I don't care, man. But it's got to be crazy to see what you saw on one of those shows, and then you show it to other people, and you're like, see, this is it. Then they go, yeah, right. Like, mighty convenient.
That's exactly what I was like, honey, come in here. This is what I saw. I was like, showing my husband. He's like, and I'm like, no, that's exactly it.
He's like, sure, really whatever.
Yeah, rather convenient.
Yeah, rather convenient. Well, we really do appreciate you taking the time to join us tonight. One more time, let's run through it. We got the link in the description below. Vampirella. It's the very first cosplay edition of Vampirella they ever did. It was Vampirella #67. Back in the days when it's like that magazine format, wonderful, beautiful black and white artwork that Mia cannot show you too many pages of. There's a new bit in there too, and it's going to be a new cover featuring her as the character Vampirella in a blood-soaked tub, a tub of blood. It's an amazing cover. Who was your photographer on that one?
So actually it's self-shot.
Nice.
I did have some help with like lighting and everything. And then I have a fantastic editor who did all the effects and, you know, made it not a bathtub necessarily so much, but it is actually red bath bombs. So I did throw like 4 black or red bath bombs in there. So, that was me, but the rest is So Say We All Photography. He's an amazing editor based out of the UK. So
All right, everybody do me a favor. Go check out that campaign. It ends in just a couple days, so you do not want to miss out on this. It looks awesome. In fact, right after this, I'm probably going to go ahead and go snag my copy of it. So I hope you follow me and do the same. Mia, thank you so much for being here. We hope we can have you back on again. This was a great chat. We'll bring you in to talk about horror movies again and UFOs and haunted houses. I want to know more about that haunted house. So, all right. Thank you, Mia, for being here, everybody. Thank you for checking out the channel. But don't worry, the double feature continues because at the top of the hour, I hit the wrong button. I'm supposed to hit. Where is it? There it is. At the top of the hour, we're doing Comics Revisited. We're revisiting the New 52 Wonder Woman run by Brian Azzarello, Cliff Chang, and company. I will be joined by the Joe Corallo, the Brianiac, and the Jay Streck. As long as I'm here too, the Rockin Robbie. Anyway, thank you so much. Station, everybody. We hope you have a good one.